Hello, I'm Katrina, and thank you for joining me at You Belong Coaching Women with ADHD. Today, I want to take you on a personal journey with me because I think that you all will benefit from it. This is something very personal, something that's been quietly threading its way through my life for as long as I can remember, even before I had the words to name it. This is a story of how I decided to get tested for ADHD and the journey I'm about to begin. So I get tested tomorrow, Monday, August 18th. So I'm a little nervous about it. For a long time, I thought I was just scatterbrained. I thought I was the kind of person who walks into a room and instantly forgets why she came in there. I'm the type of person that finds to-do lists crumbled up at the bottom of my bag, my work bag, with unfinished, or I have these reminders that I don't follow up on. I don't follow up on the ones on my phone. I don't follow up on the ones on a physical date book. And when I think about them, sometimes they're funny when I realize I forgot about them. But then sometimes they're not so funny. Growing up, I always heard, come on, girl, you can do this. Think, think, think. If you only applied yourself, or all you have to do is focus. These words stuck to me like the labels that are on the back of a shirt, when they just scratch you and they remind you that it's there. I really tried very hard. I tried so hard, but my brain seemed to have a mind of its own, jumping around from idea to idea like a grasshopper. Or, sometimes you see squirrels running across the street, running back and forth. They don't know where they're supposed to be, where they're going. That's how I describe myself. But lately I've started to wonder, what if there's a reason for all of this? What if there's a name for the way my mind moves? That might be a thing. So it took me some years, even decades, to realize that maybe, just maybe, it's not a flaw, that perhaps there's something going on beneath the surface, that my endless fidgeting, my love-hate relationship with deadlines, my tendency to hyper-focus on the things I love and ignore the things I should do, maybe it's not just me. Maybe it's truly ADHD. So I did what anyone else would do, and I went online and I started figuring out, my symptoms and creating these checklists and looking up stories just to see, if I fit the description. Check, 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 yep, all these things. And, I saw myself in the eyes of strangers. And so it was surreal for me. I didn't cry about it. Not much makes me cry. I'm pretty numb to life these days. I feel like I am, but I did feel a level of relief and fear that, somebody is describing me was actually almost scary because it was to a T. And to be quite honest, my life started to make sense in a way that it never had before. But to be quite honest, when you self-diagnose, it only goes but so far. And I truly wanted answers. I wanted real answers. And so I knew more had to be done. So that's how I ended up here on the brink of something new and unknown. And I decided to get tested. So I'm going to get tested tomorrow. So I don't know when you're going to hear or see this video. Maybe when you see it, I'll already be tested for it. But it does take some time to get the results of it. So But I do hope that you're able to follow me on this journey. But you might be wondering, why do I want to get tested now? Well, I want to understand myself better. I want a name for the patterns that have shaped my entire life. I want to stop apologizing for being too much or not enough. I want to see if there's a way forward, a way to work with my brain, not against my brain, not against myself. But I'll admit I am nervous. I'm nervous because there's vulnerability in this process, and I'm opening myself up to questions, to evaluations, to the possibility that I might not get the answer that I'm expecting. I find myself caught between hope and worry. Hope for understanding, and then worry that maybe I've just convinced myself of something that isn't real. What if it's not real? But I know that facing the truth, whatever it is the only way for me to move forward. So whatever it is, it's going to be the way for me to move forward. So what does getting tested looks like? Well, for me, it started with a call. But to be quite honest, before it started with a call, I took some therapy some time ago during the pandemic. And as I described in my life to her from childhood until adulthood, she says to me, "Oh, you have ADHD." So I'm going to proceed with this process. And I know that I'm going to talk about my childhood, my school years, again, my work, my relationships. And I'll try to be honest even about the parts that make me feel, ashamed or embarrassed. I'll have to be vulnerable to admit to forgetfulness, to impulsiveness and restlessness. But I'll also get to talk about the good things. And the good things are the creativity, the curiosity, the burst of energy that sometimes surprises even me. I know there are people who worry about labels, and I get it. I get it. Labels feel restrictive, but for me, this isn't about boxing myself in. It's about opening a door. It's about opening a door, and getting tested is the first step in what I hope will be a journey toward self-compassion, toward strategies that actually work for me, not against me. Maybe therapy, maybe medication, just understanding myself a little bit better. So I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, but I want to be able to understand myself better. And yeah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being dismissed, of sometimes telling myself or someone telling me that you're lazy, I'm lazy. Or someone saying that everyone feels this way. I'm afraid of what the diagnosis might be, what it might mean, and what it might not mean. But more than anything, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that by seeking answers, I'll find new ways to thrive. And that's the ultimate, that's the point. I want to find new ways to thrive. So there might be others who are out there who's thinking about getting tested, or who's just starting to put together the pieces. Please know that you're not alone. It takes courage to ask questions about yourself and to look and get those answers, to believe you're worthy of understanding and support. So this journey is just the beginning for me, and I don't know exactly where it will lead, but I do know this. I'm ready to take this step forward and to meet myself where I am and to see what is possible. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you like, subscribe, and even leave a comment, because I want to hear what you have to say. And I'll be back to share my first experience for my first session in testing for ADHD. Thank you for listening, and bye-bye.